If you guys can still hear me, give me 1 second. My battery went out. So I'm in the process of changing that. Actually, you know what? While this is live, so while I'm still in the process, I can still at least talk to you guys. So, once again, as you reframe your story, you want to understand that your mind will play tricks on you based off of what you feed it, right? The great Jim Rohn, if you don't know who Jim Rohn is, he is a personal and professional development expert. One of the most, what a game changing uh, line for me is you want to stand guard at the door of your mind, right? Stand guard at the door of your mind. So, what does that mean? What you look at and what you consume on a regular basis is what you will believe. It'll be your overall mantra. It will be everything. So, you want to make sure that in your overall environment, you are feeding yourself, you know, good good information, for a lack of better word, right? And that good information could be at the very start is once again how you reframe your overall story, right? And one of the strategies that I used, that it's not my own strategy. I'm going to be very transparent. One of the strategies that I use is called a three wins reflection, right? And what that is at a high level, it's you want to list 3 times where you made a powerful impact at work, right? Because doing that, it'll help you validate who you are as a professional. And once again, it starts to drown out the negative narrative that you may have in your career, right? Because once again, we want to make sure that as a professional, you want to flush out the negative and you want to push in the positive. I'm almost done with switching out my battery, so you'll get to the point where you'll be able to see me again. But as you write out that three, here we go. As you write out that three, there we go. Let me turn the camera back on. Thank you for a quick second. All right. So, like I said, this is live, and I'm going to keep this in with the YouTube video. So, if you are still with me, thank you so much. But once again, do the strategy of using a three wins reflection list as you write it down in your journal or write it down on a sheet of paper, it starts to reframe your overall career story. Of course, in your career, you're going to have successes and failures. That happens with anyone. No one is exempt from some sort of failure in their career. Or for some people, they say they don't fail, they just learned the lesson. But at the end of the day, everything that you've done in your career, you should not throw away just based off of the fact that you are in a particular valley. Those valleys are real, they are valid, but at the same time, that is not the stopping point in your career. So as you recognize the silence, which is the first step, the second step is reframe the story. The third step, which is very important, is reignite your overall circle. And that's connecting or reconnect with people that pour into you, right? I thought that having a robust network and knowing a lot of people is the end all be all. I thought that was the best thing since sliced bread. However, during my period of isolation, I clearly recognized the people that poured into me in my biggest need, right? Even though we are in an age where people look at your social status and look at how many people are following you or how many people you're connected to or who you're connected to as a source of validation, all of that is so superficial, right? You can do more with less, right? One of the most impactful quotes that I learned during this stage of reigniting my circle comes from a Chicago gangster by the name of Al Capone. Long story short, he said that he would rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. Let me run that back again. He said that he would rather have 4 quarters, meaning not that 4 quarters, meaning it's a larger amount of currency, but it's not a massive amount. The value is more with a smaller group of money as opposed to having 100 pennies. And that was game changing for me because as I became more transparent and talked to more people about, well, excuse me, talk to trusted individuals about what I was going through, it was instantly there to pour into me. Once again, not trying to, I wasn't asking for huge favors or things of that nature. I just asked them for maybe 10 to 15 minutes of their time. And it got to a point where they gave me hours, in some situations, just days, to help me because they knew that the stage that I was in my career, especially from a mental standpoint, I wasn't who I was, right? Which is, like I said, it's embarrassing to say, but at the same time, it's very, very true. But knowing who they knew who I really was, them pouring into me, even with a kind word, even with a level of motivation just to say, get up, it's not over. Those things, you know, are near and dear to me. And I will always remember those individuals that reached out for a kind word. Let me look at it from the other side of the coin also. Just as much as I will remember the individuals that helped me out, I will always remember the individuals that I have reached out to and it fell on deaf ears. Once again, you definitely have to know, not being a vindictive person, but now moving forward as I'm continuing to build my overall momentum, I'm going to be at a crossroad because I don't know if they reach out to me for help. I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, I would want to do the right thing, but I'm not trying to make a mistake because we all know the saying, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And I do believe the individuals, once again, that reached out and helped me, but even more importantly, I believe the ones that reached out to, even for some advice, and they were helping other individuals. Not being bitter, I'm just being realistic. And you are looking at the other end of this, on the other end of this camera in the audience, you may be going through that right now. You don't want to take it personal, but at the same time, you really want to be aware of who are the people in your circle and who are the individuals that will really support you. Because the people that you think may be there when you need them may not. But the ones that are, those are the ones that you hold near and dear to, because those are the individuals that are the true blessings that help you out of your overall valley, right? So I talked about recognize the silence, reframe the story, reignite the circle, and then last one, which is something that's I'm still working on right now. I call it rebuild the rhythm, right? So we all know about happy. Okay, my daughter's out there losing her mind upstairs watching TV. But we all know about energy and we all know about just getting into routines, especially this whole morning routine trend that just happened. But as you continue to get back on your feet, you want to get in a rhythm to the point where how you're not the person that you were before, but you are a better version of who you are. And you want to stay consistent while you are doing that because you always want to prepare yourself if that valley will occur again. Just because you are ascending doesn't necessarily mean you may not plateau or you may not go down again. But as you are consistently in a rhythm and doing more in your career than just going to work or going to networking events, maybe you need to volunteer, maybe you need to start your own business, maybe you need to do live streams like this. I have no idea, but whatever your passion is and whatever you like doing, you definitely have to incorporate that because it gives you the overall balance, right? Life is like a roller coaster. Your career is like a roller coaster. There is no straight line when it comes to a roller coaster, but I've never known anyone that did not, excuse me, I've never known anyone who had fun on a roller coaster that just went a straight line. You have the ups, you have the downs, you have the rounds, you have all of it. So it's not about how things occur in your career or how that isolation happens. It's how you can get yourself out of it so you can start to feel visible and supported. And even more importantly, and this is one thing that's near and dear to me, Now, one of my missions is to further help individuals that feels invisible or unsupported. Right? You have a lot of talented people out there, but they're in their head because other people do not see their overall value. Right? Which is sad, but at the same time, it's something that it's a world that we live in right now, because even though it's a world that we're living in, doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be like that, right? So based off of the comments, it feels like I'm gonna have to do a more detailed explanation based off of each pillar, which is no problem, because once again, this is near and dear to me, and these are the four key things. And once again, to be transparent, I'm still doing number four. These are the four key things that is helping me, as Austin Powers say, I'm getting my overall mojo back, because I never want to be in another situation where I'm in a high level of isolation. But if I am, I have a better understanding of how to approach it and what that overall means. And that's the thing that I would want for you, right? So we're reaching time. So I wanted to say thank you guys for taking time, effort, and energy to get this first understanding, or this general understanding of professional I cannot talk, professional isolation, and I'm going to keep that in the video. Like I said, what I'll do is probably create sub videos on each pillar to really dig in, because I want you guys to understand this. So thank you guys for your time, effort, and energy. And as always, this is Eric B. Horn, and I'll see you in the next video.